Hi, I'm Daniel Likis, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a former trial lawyer, musician, artist, manager turned to stand up comedian, other than Mr. Paul Farahvar.
Hello.
Welcome, Mr. Paul, on Book 101
Yes.
Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
You covered it all. Paul Farahvar, stand-up comedian based in Chicago, Illinois. Used to be a trial lawyer. Used to be a musician. Used to be an artist manager. I failed at all those things, so now I'm trying to fail at comedy.
Indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about being a comedian, musician, as well as a former lawyer. So tell us, the leap from lawyer to comedian, musician is a massive shift. Was there a single catalytic moment where you knew you had to make the change, or what is a gradual erosion of one identity for another?
Mhm. I think it was more of a gradual erosion. I was doing stand-up comedy and improv comedy just to take a break and stay, you know, grounded as a trial lawyer. And more opportunities started to present themselves as a stand-up comedian, and I started getting better and more obsessed with it. So I took a leap and closed my law office to do stand-up full time. So I switched over.
So, Mr. Paul, is it worth it to be a comedian?
Good question. Some days it feels like it is, and other times you start questioning all the decision you've made in your life. So overall, so far, I'm happy with my decision. But after tonight's show, I have a show later tonight. Ask me again. It changes every day.
Well, if you're happy of what you're doing, if you have a passion of what you're doing, go. So, Mr. Paul, on the surface, law and comedy seems worlds apart. But are the unexpected skills from being a lawyer, like constructing an argument, reading a room, or thinking on your feet, that directly translate to your performance on a stage?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of those skills transfer over. You have to be able to think on your feet as a trial lawyer and as a comedian. You adjust to what's working and what's not working. You read the room. As a lawyer, you have to read juries, you have to read judges every day, and make quick decisions. And all of that training comes into handy every day.
People, it's hard to be a comedian. I'm trying to be a comedian on Comedy 101 because my partner want me to try to be a comedian. Mr. Bob is taught me how to be a comedian, and it's hard, people. It's truly hard. How does your definition of winning a case in the courtroom evolve in your definition of killing it on stage? What feels like a bigger high now?
Oh, I think right now, having a great set in front of a new crowd or a new joke working for the first time is better than winning an argument in court for sure. Um, Definitely, I think with being a trial lawyer, you don't get that you don't get the immediate gratification. Even if you had a good argument, you don't know if you won until hours later or days later. So with comedy, you get an immediate answer right away. You know how well you did because unlike any other career, you're getting you're getting judged every 30 seconds. So you get an immediate review. No one else can say that.
It's priceless, people. If you make people laugh, it's something else. And Mr. Paul, As a lawyer, you expected to be an authority figure. As a comedian, you often gain trust by traveling your flaws and insecurities. How do you navigate that flip in persona?
I think just being truthful. I think truth in comedy, people like the truth. It's easier to be honest and vulnerable on stage than it is to create a fake persona. That's hard to do. You're acting. I'm not an
Hmm.
actor. As I mean, I am, but that's not my skill set. My skill set is writing and telling the truth, and that's what you would hope comedians do.
Hmm. Authentic people, authenticity for sure. And let's talk about the creative process and intersections. Do you find that your brain uses the same muscle for writing a clever punchline and compelling legal brief, or the entirely different mental process? How does music fit into a cognitive workout?
Well, I think writing music and writing law journals or arguments and writing a joke are all relatively the same. You're still trying to be creative. Even when I was a lawyer, I tried to create something that would capture the judge's attention. Um, the one thing I think all the thread line between all of them is getting to the point quickly, cutting all the fat. I remember when I was a lawyer, my mentor took me aside because I wrote an analysis that was like 5 pages long, and he just went through a red pen, cut everything down. He's like, "This is 1 page. You don't need to say all this stuff." And that's what comedy is like, and that's what music is like. Because you want to write a hit, it's got to be 3.5 minutes long. You want to write a joke, you got to get a laugh every 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and you got to cut out all the fat. There's no reason to have a lull on stage for 2 minutes without a laugh. So get to the point, get rid of all the fat. And that's something that's a thread line in music, comedy, and law.
Straight to the point. Oh, I love that, Mr. Paul. How does your musicianship influence your comedy and vice versa? Is this a song just structured joke with a melody, or is just a joke kind of a rhythmic composition of words?
I think it's a different process for me, other than the fact that you have the discipline that requires you to sit down and just kind of be influenced by things. I listen to music now to help me write sometimes. And if I hear a great song or a great subject that a song I like is talking about, that's something I like to say, oh, maybe I can explore that topic in comedy, or at least it'll inspire me because I'm like, wow, this song is so cool. I need to do something creative like this. And there's that overlap in the terms of influencing you. For writing music and comedy, I don't write music anymore. I play music just for fun every once in a while, but comedy basically takes over your life, and I don't have anything else but comedy related things going on at all times.
Mr. Paul, do you still mine your experience in the legal world for material? What is the funniest or most absurd real life legal situation you've been able to
Oh
turn
man.
into a bit or a song?
Well, I haven't really been able to make this into a joke yet because it's so surreal. But the funniest thing that happened to me in court is a lawyer lost a case in federal court, and he came up to me and said, "You want to step? You want to get to stepping?" And I didn't understand the terminology. I thought stepping to me is a dance move from the African American community, and I was like, "What? What is he saying?" And then I realized he was trying to start like a fist fight to me within steps of the bailiff on federal grounds, and his partner had to like pull him away because he was so angry with how things went. And I thought it was kind of funny because here we are as lawyers, we're supposed to use our thoughts
Hmm.
to argue and win. And here's a guy that was so angry he couldn't control his physical temper because he lost an argument to me. And it was just such a funny situation. But I've tried to make it into a joke, and people don't believe it, but it happened.
It happened, and thank you for sharing that story, Mr. Paul. A lawyer, a draft document meant to be ambiguous and airtight. As a comedian, a songwriter, you play with ambiguity, double interest, and subtext. Do you ever feel a creative tension between these two models of communication?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's always tension that you kind of use both worlds at all times. I think that there's some stuff that you got to be subversive, and other things are just being silly. So, yeah, I think it's a you can balance both of them. I think if you look at Conan O'Brien,
Hmm.
uh, he's one of my favorite. He's not a stand-up comedian, but he's one of my favorites. He does it all. He's got smart comedy, and it's subversive sometimes, and then he's just silly. And I think you can have both.
Definitely, you can have them both. Why not? Let's talk about the psychology and inner world. You you use to persuading and performing for a group of people. What is the fundamental difference between trying to persuade a jury and trying to make an audience laugh?
Well, the biggest difference is you're the similarity is you're trying to get someone to do something you want them to do, or you want them to be on your side. But the biggest difference is laughter versus winning. For comedy, you're not necessarily winning. You're trying to get people to find you entertained and remember your joke and laugh out loud. Um, for law, you're just trying to get them to believe what you're saying. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are similar, but that's the biggest difference.
Interesting, Mr. Paul. Was there a sense of guilt or wasting your education when you left law? How did you deal with the weight of expectation, both from others and from yourself?
Uh, I don't think it was wasted because obviously my skill set as a lawyer, I used it for almost 15 years, and it got me to the point where I could do things that are more creative. And I still use that skill set of being a critical thinker, using logic and writing as a comedian. So I don't think it was wasted. And I do think that having an education helps with comedy and just being a good human being. I think the way things are going in the world, sometimes it's good to have that ability to have critical thinking and use logic to talk to people and try to understand people. And a lot of times, I think a lot of people lack those things. And I'm always proud of the fact that I do have that ability to not be tricked or bamboozled by you know a narrative that I know is false.
Law is often seen as safe, prestigious path. Comedy and music are notably volatile. How do you reward your understanding of race and security, and how do you learn about yourself in the process?
I think with law, if you really are enjoy the law, I love the law. I didn't leave the law because I was burned out. I left because I felt I accomplished what I wanted to do with the law. A lot of times people go into law because they don't have any other choices, or they don't know what to do. They're like, oh, well, maybe I'll just be a lawyer or go to law school and figure it out. And those people are the ones that they went the safe route, but they didn't, because later in life they're just not happy. With comedy, I think, in music or creatives, I think it's something to give it a chance, because if you don't do it, if you're something that you're interested in, you're always going to have that feeling of regret or remorse that you didn't give it a chance. And so, you know, I think there's a risk in not pursuing something, especially if you have a talent. I have a quote on my wall here. It says, "When when one man, for whatever reason, has the opportunity to lead an extraordinary life, he has no right to keep it to himself." That's a Jacques Cousteau quote that I put on my wall, and that's true. I think if you have a talent, whether it's art, music, comedy, if you don't pursue it, I think that's being selfish. I think your voice needs to be heard.
Indeed. So, Mr. Paul, as a comedian, what are your short term and long term goals?
Hmm. My goals are always to be better as a stand-up comedian, get better. Um, in terms of long-term goals, I want to be able to sell out shows and have a tour as a headliner at A rooms, the best rooms in the countries. And I want to have a talk show or a podcast where I could generate income from interviewing people. I love interviewing people. I'm sure you do too. So those are the two things. I've also been working on different projects where I'm creating comedy game shows. So those are the things that I hope to do in comedy.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Paul. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a comedian like you?
Write every day, write no matter what it is, write all the time. And if you do stand up, you got to try it. You got to get on stage 6 to 10 times a week and record all your sets and listen back to all your sets. Or you don't have to videotape them, just sometimes just recording them on your phone and listen back. That's how you get better. That counts as writing as well.
Hmm, indeed. Thank you for that advice, Mr. Paul. Can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh wow, so many books. I read about five, maybe more now. At least 3 to 5 books a month, mostly memoirs and biographies, um, nonfiction. I loved a book called Perfect Pain by Param Parsaran. It's about his journey with drug addiction and going through therapy. I love Rick Rubin's The Creative Act. I think that's a great book for anyone that wants to go in the arts. And I also loved Molly Shannon's Superstar, which is a memoir about her time as a SN on Saturday Night Live and all those things. Also, Craig Ferguson's memoir was really great.
Thank you for that recommended books, Mr. Paul. And how do you introduce yourself if a party now? At a party now, do you lead with one identity or do you see them as an inseparable combination that makes you who you are?
Well, it depends on the party. If I'm surrounded with other comedians, you don't really say you're a comedian. You just say, "Hey, I'm from Chicago," and then that's where I feel the most comfort. I always look for comedians, and I think we find each other at parties. I think that's my biggest identity. But I usually don't start by telling people I'm a comedian because that never that never leads to anything good. If someone's not a comedian, they're gonna talk about something about their comedy show they went to or ask me to tell them a joke, and that's never fun. So I don't tell anybody who I am. I just say my name is Paul.
Mhm. Mr. Paul, what freedom does you being on a stage give you that courtroom never could? And conversely, is there anything you miss about the structure, logical world of the law?
As far as the freedom on stage, I can swear without worrying about it. uh, that's a big freedom because I tend to swear a lot, unfortunately. So that's a good freedom, and just kind of going off script. I think that's always a freedom. As far as law, I do miss the you know argue winning. I'm a very competitive person, and there's not a lot of winning in comedy. You obviously get opportunities, but you're not watching all the comedians on a show being like, "Well, I had the best set," you know. So I do miss the camaraderie of that, and I do miss the challenges of arguing and uncovering a case. But no, I don't miss the structure about that at all. I'm not a morning person. I hated waking up early, so most of the pros of being a comedian outweigh the cons.
Before we wrap up our discussion today, Mr. Paul, I'm inviting you to please don't listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in a fourth season, and my movie 101 review, music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Paul, looking back on the entire journey, what's the funniest, most iconic or ironic or most perfectly written moment that you never would have happened if you stay in your law office?
I think the biggest moment is performing at a theater that I used to go see live music at. Uh, One of my favorite places to go see live music as a concert goer. The first time I got to perform there as a stand-up comedian was a full circle moment for me because I would pay, I've paid thousands of dollars to see concerts at that venue, and then I've done that show. I've done the Vic Theater. It's called. I've done it like 6 times now, when they've paid me thousands of dollars to perform there now. So it kind of worked out.
Interesting, Mr. Paul. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Book 101?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Paul Farahvar, Paul Farahvar. But if you put Paul Far, it pops up. Or check me out on YouTube at Paul F Comedy, or TikTok, Substack. Everything is Paul F Comedy.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Paul Farahvar because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering stand-up comedian will rise. So, Mr. Paul, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bodycom people, see you soon.